or we lose faith in goodness. I was so nice, but people took advantage of me. So I decided not to be nice. I will start with you. So at times people lose faith in goodness. They lose faith in their relationship. So sadness can dislocate or disturb the balance of a person. But many times the pleasure also disturbs the balance. Person when he is sad, at least one can communicate. When that fellow is at the top of the world, then he also becomes totally indifferent to the world, to people, to near and dear ones. So both happiness or pleasure, here the word pleasure and pain, or joys and sorrows, or victory and defeat in the world with respect to the world, at times disturbs a person's balance. And disturb means he loses sight of his goal and loses sight of his path and loses sight of his own identity. That is called getting disturbed. When you are driving your car, when you fall asleep, that is dangerous. When we don't see the road properly, that is also dangerous. And when we don't know where we are going, that is also equally dangerous. Similarly, when we are disturbed, we lose sight of our own identity. We forget who we are. We don't know, we forget that we are, let us say, a seeker or a student or a father or a husband or a wife. We lose sight of our that relative identity and everything collapses in front of us, like what happened to Arjuna. Or at times we forget about our path, we get confused, or we lose sight of our goal. So one who remains undisturbed, even under the most difficult circumstance, such a person is called a person, a Purusha. Here Purusha is not the division of Purusha and Stri, but Purusha means that person who is identified with the body, one who is residing in this body. This body is also called Pura, and the king of this Pura, the self which is identified with this body, is also called that Purusha. So with respect to this definition, whether externally a person, the body may be of a male or a female, that Purusha Tattva is there. So that person alone is called a person, and a brave and a chief among person also, as Arjuna is addressed here, who doesn't get afflicted by the ups and downs. Sama dukkha sukham, he or she remains sama, equanimous in sukha and dukkha, in pleasure and pain. Pleasure, when it comes, when experiencing pleasure, he remains in his balance. When pain comes, also remains in his own stand. Doesn't get disturbed from that. That person is called Purusharshaba or Purusham. Samas dukkha sukham dhiram, wise. Dhiram means wise person. Such a wise person, Bhagavan says, amrutatvaya kalpate. He or she becomes fit to attain or to experience or to realize that immortality. Atma is immortal, but as long as we don't realize it, we will suffer from the fear of mortality. It's like I have a lot of money in my bank, but I cannot withdraw, or I don't know about it. If I don't know, that is one thing. But if I know but cannot withdraw it or cannot use it, that is also equally painful. Similarly, every lecture we attend Vedanta, they say you are immortal, but constantly we are afraid that we will die. Then what is the use of this knowledge? Yeah? Then obviously we have not realized. There is some other misunderstanding is there about our own self. So here Bhagavan says one who maintains this balance in the pairs of opposites of this world, one who keeps his mind balanced, such a person becomes fit to realize that the self which is immortal. Because the mind should be available if we want to realize that truth. Ultimately, in that peaceful and quiet mind, when the mind becomes absolutely still, one can attain that recognition of that self. Self is obviously there. We are the self. We are that supreme self. But it is not recognized. It is not realized. We have not reached the state of enlightenment, or one is not one has not awakened. It is as though one is asleep to his own reality. So we can recognize for that certain qualification or certain qualification is required, and that is the purity of the mind, the stillness of the mind, and in that still and pure mind one can recognize, one can realize with the help of that mind, one can realize the self. Therefore, Bhagavan says the first step is to learn to remain balanced in the ups and downs of this world. Because you cannot stop the world from going up and down. Whether we are in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, the world will go up and down. Once a person was sitting near the ocean and waiting. So somebody asked him, "What are you waiting for?" He said, "I am looking at this ocean and a lot of waves are constantly coming. So I am waiting for all the waves to come to a standstill and the ocean should become like a lake, a still water lake." He said, "You will be waiting like this for eternity. It will never happen." So if we feel that, no, I will become spiritual after everything gets settled, when this sorrow goes away from my life, when children get settled, when my neighbor gets settled, whatever, then I will follow this path of spirituality sincerely, that time will not come. Therefore, one has to learn to remain balanced in the ups and downs. Sadness should not, with sadness one should not, hit the dust. And with joy, one should not hit the ceiling. Either way we will get hit. So one should remain balanced in both. So Bhagavan says, such a person, it is difficult, no doubt. So how to do it, Bhagavan will explain in the path of Karma Yoga. But one who learns to do this, therefore in Karma Yoga, Bhagavan defines Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Balance itself is yoga. Harmony itself is yoga. Yoga is not just ability to do some asana or pranayam, but to maintain that balance is yoga. A person living in this world with all the different experiences but maintains his balance of his mind, never loses sight of his goal, never loses sight of his path, never loses sight of his own real identity, is a balanced person, and such a person becomes fit to ultimately realize that truth, to recognize his own self. So after saying this, Bhagavan goes little deeper and reveals a very, very important truth in the next verse. He says that why we should remain balanced in this world, why we should not take the joys and sorrows, pleasures and pain, victory and defeat of this world too seriously. He says in the next verse, Nasato vidyate bhavaha na bhavo vidyate satah त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः न सतो विद्यते भावः न भावो विद्यते सतः दृष्टोऽन्तः त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. Bhagavan says, because all this we experience, all that we experience as joys and sorrows, pleasures and pain, victory and defeat, are in their essential nature, they are all false, they are all appearance. Now this is a very serious topic. It's like in a dream. Suppose somebody becomes a king in his dream or becomes a beggar in his dream. Both these are false only. No doubt, as a king one can enjoy the dream, or sometimes as a beggar they can enjoy the dream, get more money. But both of them are experiences of the dream. When a person wakes up, comes to know that I became a king or I became a beggar, it made no difference to me. Both are same. But in the state of dream, it was not possible to recognize this. Similarly, all that we experience in this world appears to be absolutely real. But if we observe them, we will find that constantly they change. And change is not the sign of a reality. Change is a sign of appearance. That which has only an appearance constantly appears, constantly changes. So a very interesting point Bhagavan reveals here. He says, Na asataha vidyate bhavaha. That which is asat, that which is unreal, doesn't have any existence at all. It doesn't exist at all. And na abhavaha vidyate sataha. And that which is real never not exist. It always exists. So there is this beautiful understanding of real and unreal. The vivek of real and unreal is revealed here. So let us try to understand this. The self, the Atma, is indicated as real, as Sat. Sat is that which always exists. It existed in the past, it exists now, it will exist in future. It's called Trikalepi Tisthati. It is Sat. That which exists in all the three periods of time is called Sat. That is one meaning of Sat. Another meaning of Sat is that which cannot be negated. That which cannot be negated at all is called Sat. It doesn't get negated in all the three periods of time. It doesn't get negated any place. It doesn't get negated. The self doesn't get negated. The real doesn't get negated. See, our waking state gets negated in dream. Our dream gets negated in deep sleep state. But the self, which is the witness of all these three states, doesn't get negated. That which gets negated is false, it's merely an appearance. Suppose somebody asks me, who are you? So I give my identity. But that identity gets changed when I am dreaming. A beggar may dream that he is a king. And it happened actually, there is a story of Raja Janak, who was a great king. He dreamt, or he was in his darbar, and afternoon, maybe over it, and he dreamt that he is begging in his own kingdom. And this dream was very, very vivid and absolutely real. He experienced it. And again he woke up and he experienced himself as a king. So he got this fundamental doubt. He asked the wise people who were there that what is real? Am I a king who dreamt that he is a beggar,